Grabbing these points will be very important for either of these teams. And normally sharing is caring, but I don't think that is what they will be pushing for here today.
I think one of the things with Rogue here is, because I think I'm the only one that predicted them in the predictions. 2 reasons.
Okay.
One, I didn't want to have us all on the same prediction because then
We curse a team.
Then we already know what the result is.
Yeah.
You know, we need to keep some of who's going to win up in the air, because if all of us believe one team's going to win, then theoretically that team, or not even theoretically, we know that team then loses. There's no 2 ways about it.
Yeah.
B, I think Rogue have a bit of a better chance than being on the bottom of the board. I think, although they're sort of in current last place, they're on 2 points, and Empire have put in great fights. This is a moment where Rogue are going to come into this game with a lot of heat. They've come off the back of being sort of swept aside by BDS statistically, but they still had good moments in the game. I think for them, this game has a lot of heat that they realize.
There is definitely. Interesting bans, by the way. We see the Maverick and the Hibana removed. So, double hard breach, something we would cheer about back in the past on Clubhouse, but of course there's still Ace and Thermite available, and Thatcher as well to make sure that these walls open up quickly. However, the lack of the Hibana and the Maverick will make it very hard to open up, of course, onto the hatches that is necessary for that basement. And as we finish these bans, the Valkyrie and Mira, is going to be a tactical timeout.
Just a quick one.
From Empire.
Yeah, just a quick technical. As we get all the players sorted, someone's fortunately had a bit of an issue as we got through those bans. So we got to the end of the bans, and then we're back here to...
No, it's tactical.
Talk about this.
Not technical.
What?
Yeah, because there is a little line right above
I like the little pan. No, I realized that, and I see the little pan as the camera went up there to make sure our faces weren't covered.
Might have not expected the bans. They're on the
mean,
attack. Double heart breach ban. They might have to edit their strategy now. Maybe they did not expect that to happen, and they're going to talk things through. I'm just speculating.
I mean, it's the only speculation that would make sense to have a tactical conversation this early.
Yes.
But, well, I guess we'll see if it works. Because...
as long as they don't break their hands now.
Well, this happened in the Benelux.
Yeah, it happened in the Benelux.
There's the story of the Benelux of the player who had a tactical timeout, and it was the other team, and then he stood up too fast and he broke
his hand. No, one of his fingers, I believe, but like you're going to get taped next to each other. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. Either way, tactical. And we're going to get going now, finally, into the map. And the only thing you can think about is a potential double hard breach ban.
Attackers need to locate
that would be throwing them off. That is, I think, the only possible reason. And as we're heading to the bottom floor, we will, of course, see this Hibana ban together with the Maverick ban really come into play. It's going to be very difficult to open up these hatches, as you are going to be able to, well, use just your Thermite and your Ace, with 2 Selmas for a single hatch. I'm not sure if that is worth it.
We're just double-checking something, because Milos has come over to me confused and said he'd heard it was tactical, and now he's just had the realization that it was tactical.
It is tactical.
Now confirmed. It's now been confirmed.
I trust Bruno.
Yeah, I trust Bruno. Well, those Jess and Milos...
I got Bruno saying tactical. So
yeah.
Either way.
I guess it's the admins. We used to, when we did the online, Leicester and Coppit, and we could sort of sass talk to them during the game.
Can we not do that anymore?
Well, they can't hear us, I don't think.
Unless they listen with the feet.
I hope they know that we're thinking about them and we're thinking about sass talking them. Okay, back to the game now. We're in. We've had that tactical on Team Empire. I guess you better hope that conversation means it. Assuming it was theirs, they've got to try and pull themselves through here. It puts you in this sort of moment where I guess now, you know, it's like G2. They never take timeouts during games, or whenever they occasionally did. Jas wouldn't get involved in the conversations that you would see on the stages. This is all you've got. You've got yourself now in the beautiful game. You've got 2 45-minute halves, and you've got to see what you can make happen onside the pitch with only those moments in between where the ball is dead to try and make things happen. Maybe I've been watching too much of the Euros. Maybe.
I was going to say, then the 45 minutes are more like 30, and the ball is going to be the playing field.
Yeah.
That has to be dropped down on the ground. But either way, it is indeed what you say. You need to make it happen. You have no more tactical left. That means that you can no longer... well, afford a big slip-up like that. That needs to be approached and fixed by your coach.
Sprayed through the bottom of the lounge to find slivers of Dan, who's going to still sort of put a fight there, as Corey is the one that pulls pulls away. They realize they don't have to desperately hold it. All the bodies are isolated. It's not like they were trying to offer support for somebody playing around the top to give them that fallback, to give them that retreat. So play yourself as this flat defense. See if you can take out as much of them as possible. Empire aren't wasting any time. Obviously, we sort of highlighted they had that pre-game almost conversation based on how the bans came through. They've got to make sure that the destruction that they have connects. They've still doubled up with Thermite and Ace. It's not the biggest sort of shake-up, so if that was the conversation, they're happy to keep rolling through. It's making it connect. It's making those sort of marks happen on a map where if you're going for this motor take, if you're going for this kitchen hatch take, how are you going to utilize what you have left in your pockets?
That's it. There's pretty limited hard breach available now with these bans that are up, and as the nitros are being tossed up, no one is really being caught for now. This doesn't have to be the case, as there is not much left. Not a single exothermic, just a single Selma. That's what's left. A single Selma to open up a wall potentially. Means that there will be a lot of pressure, a lot of emphasis on dropping out these hatches, on making sure this is where the push will be coming from. And as Dan is pushing up very far here inside blue, he's hoping to pick one of these players off guard. Corey is holding it. They hear the barbed wire being punched. They know that the push will be coming from this direction. They just need to make this kill stick, and they don't so far.
Cryan and Corey able to catch the first two as they fall right into their waiting arms. Joystick tries to dig deep, but Cryan still has an angle, and Shepard finally puts them out of the misery. But in a 4 versus 1, and always is stuck behind some pretty dangerous smoke canisters, and he knows they know exactly where he is. It's gonna roll itself over. Empire, they sort of got themselves a little bit lost in the read on the top 2 stories and left themselves with, unfortunately, not enough time to actually break a site which is otherwise still continually locked in.
Yeah, definitely so. And Empire, well, they try to get in, they open up the hatches, they did what they could, but at that moment in time, there's not really anything left to either put some pressure in from dirt or to put pressure from behind the triple wall. And Rogue able to shut that one down quite easily. Only Shepard able to pick up a kill. And with that, it is the first round for Rogue. But I believe that, as you said, these sites on the basement should be locked down due to, of course, the limited hard breach potential there is. Always there is going to be an opportunity, of course, to open up the hatch, go for a kitchen plant quickly, have the vertical control to cover it. That is probably going to be a game plan of, well, either of the teams here today. So I'm never saying it's going to be 100% locked in, but it does make it a lot harder when you do not have free hard breach potential.
Got an update that's worth mentioning. That wasn't a team tactical pause.
It was an admin tactical pause.
It was an admin tactical pause.
That's a new one.
There was a little bit of a miscommunication that they were just getting sorted out. Obviously, we'd already gotten to the ban phase. There's a little bit of back and forth. There's similarly named things. So, as the final word on this, I promise, I swear, the story isn't changing again. This is it. That was not Empire's team tactical timeout.
Admin.
It was
so
an admin
now
timeout.
the admin does not have another timeout.
The admin has used their timeout in the game.
No more toilet breaks for them.
Empire still has theirs. Rogue still has theirs. There's a little bit of a miscommunication, but it is all sorted now. That is the final word on this.
All right.
Touch the wood of the desk.
Well, is it really wood though? Yes, it is actually. I can feel it on the bottom. All right, there we go. EMP goes out. The wall will be opened up quickly by Shepard, and while Corey is playing below with an electro claw, but it's not going to be able to deploy that. Of course, we're already pre-deployed and not going to be having the impact he might have wanted. For now, just trying to hold off to launch. There is drones coming in. They're trying to find the information, and as they open this up so quickly, there's going to be plenty of time for Empire to try and put some pressure onto the garage, because, well, as soon as you open this one up, if you manage to get garage control as well, that should be a good opportunity to get a plan down. And if you do that, that is always going to be extending the opportunity of winning around by about 70 to 80%, according to statistics.
According to stats. Now, if you're looking at stats, I'm going to look at the things that are still left in the pockets and the land that Rogue have a handle on. Aces went very aggressive there, and they're going to instantly pass that information to the push that was coming through. They're not quite in a position to get that instant lockdown. Obviously, Always was moving around logistics. They had a body that was making its way from Jacuzzi, but Empire, they're not going to go for the chase. They're not going to go for the kill. They still want to set up in their own sort of time, in their own sort of echelon of control that they've been able to mark out and edge out here. Leon is that backline behind the bomb chassis, waiting for that connector wall to fall. Shepard is the one that's going to roll their way round to it. They, with the Thatcher on board, fully expect this to come together. There's the Selmas, there's a grenade popped around the back. It does catch most of Leon, but he's able to slip away. There's nobody holding the rotation from the opposite side, and that forces them into a bit of a tricky situation here.
And we're opening up again, trying to put up some utility. Last time around, an impact truck came around and stopped the Selma from exploding. Now the last bit of the Selma is going to be muted out again. It's not going to be exploding, so another EMP would have to be used and will be used. And with that, surely should be able to take care of it. Pre-play C4 being called out, but medics on the actual breach there. So as soon as they would be entering, we'll be able to pick up a kill maybe.
So this is a tricky situation here, and they're going to just have to try and kill their way through, and it's Dan who went over to the opening. I said they'd left a little bit wide before, that gets the open 2, which is a massive play. There's a spray back round on the top of red, and it falls. 20 seconds, though, and that's the big worry right now. They dig themselves deep. The pop over the top is able to get one more, but they're going to try and stick it. The 3 versus 2 versus 1. And now Corey obviously still has the C4 elsewhere. The cover is there, though. An Empire. They left themselves no option but to kill their way through. But luckily for them, it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, and the right ID there on Corey, though. Saw the head, was just not able to click it. Would have been turning it into a 1v1 out of nowhere after it turned from a 4v1 into a 2v1 in about a second or so.
Yep.
And now we're all squared up. Empire able to win the round on CCTV cash. That is the side that dropped in defensive win rate the most over the last year. Has been climbing up steadily again, though. So losing that here might not be too well for Rogue. But of course, it is only round 2. Now it's round 3. We're going to gym bed. We are continuing a rotation, and Rogue will be choosing to go here rather than trying to go for CCTV cash yet once again. See how they will take care of this, because the fact that the Thatcher is on board makes it a lot easier to open up these walls, to open up Jacuzzi. Literally nothing you can really do. Like you'll put down the Electroclaw, but it's more of a, you know, it's a thought. That's it. Like, you know, you do it so they have to waste it, but you know you're not going to do anything else. Like, it is just there to be there.
I think the previous round shows... It's one of those rounds that's tough to gauge because Rogue played against utility well. They had the cover for the attempts on the breaches. The Thatcher slightly mishandled, and the great cover there against the Selmas. But at the same time, there was little moments of Empire's push where they weren't quite ready for the Rogue rotation on the other side, which would have been a free pickup against Leon there, who was already massively injured. They didn't quite have that in place. But then, obviously, when push came to shove, Rogue weren't seemingly ready for that. They weren't quite in the positions of the backline. They started losing those engagements and those holds. And it's kind of those curious moments where you're trying to piece together, you know, if one of those things had gone the other way, who would have been able to come off more successful? Whose mistakes were the ones that led to the other team's advantages? And it's something that, as the game continues, I guess we'll get the more true taste of.
Lissau is crying here. Gets hit in the shoulder by the Zofia, spots out the Shadows and knows one is on that door. As soon as the Shadow disappears, of course, himself will be pushing a little bit more into safety. Waiting for a bit of support as Joystick is looking to toss over some of that lifeline utility, hoping to get a stun out and maybe even the kill onto the man on the rafters. And there he gets it. We'll be able to get the kill. Brings it to a 5v4, and suddenly Garage could be under control quite quickly here for Empire. Now, luckily for Rogue, it is not CCTV cash, otherwise it would have been quite problematic. But still not nice to lose your first member like that.
Yeah, that was really well played from Empire. I know I sort of pulled them back a little bit about this before when they weren't in the position to make sure they had that rotation covered. This time they were. It didn't come to it, but they were still ready for the fight as it came through. And talking of, there's a deep take. They're able to just get the drop before they get dropped themselves. You obviously lose those Selmas. It means that your cost on the opposite side might be a little bit trickier. You've only got your Thermite now with one of those exothermics left to sort of build reliance on. You lose, you know, a little bit more of the covers of smoke. Not that we've seen them driven so hard so fast, but to be fair, at least the Selmas had already done, and taking CC and taking cash just via body now has meant that that sort of cost has been alleviated.
Yeah, and then we might see a bit of a rotation towards the Jacuzzi side of Dan, Always, and Shepard. Of course, that is also still a wall that would be nice to have opened up. And actually, Shepard will be going from the inside, so this might just be a full construction take, trying to take the logistic office next, and as we do have to swing around from Rips, he's almost taking some shots there, and once the player is on the top, he might have the opportunity, it's always to drop a grenade inside of the stash and hopefully pick up Rips as a result. He's cooking it right now, it's being tossed in as we speak, and that is going to land right on top of him, get the down as well. Joystick is trying to confirm the kill. We'll be able to get another one, however.
Joystick starting to light up is a great sign for Empire here, and Rogue yet again are starting to fall apart in these actual engagement. When the push comes to shove twice in a row, Empire have just been sturdier. They've been able to sort of roll their way through the gunfights. They're winning these individual engagements. Rogue seemingly aren't quite as sharp so far in the start of this, which is a bit of a worry for a team that we know when they sometimes have rocky starts to a game, it builds on to them, it gets into their heads a little bit, and it becomes these sort of woes that unfortunately carry through in the most important part of this, where confidence is a factor, which is winning your ones.
It's still a shooter game.
It's still a shooter.
Winning your ones is very important,
Yeah.
and Joystick able to pick up the cover that was supposed to come down, because of course, right, you lose your Maestro in that case, down inside of the stash. They're going to be confirming him sooner rather than later, but you might be able to pick up a kill or two if you try and challenge it. And that's exactly what they try to do. Joystick, however, just a little bit better, a little bit more prepared, able to pick up the kill as a result. And with that, suddenly the 1 man advantage fell into a 2 man advantage. With that, Empire able to build on from there, and now they are, I believe, back at the bottom floor, at least I assume.
Yes, all the way down. It's obviously the only place they've been.
It's not bar stock, right?
No, I don't think a team that's 2-1 down on their defenses on club would.
I'm just saying.
Would pull bar stock.
I don't think so either, but I would have had a lot of respect if they tried and if they actually won it as well. Imagine the scenes.
No, you have.
I have imagined it many times.
And then they turn to the camera at the end and they say, "Thank you, Hav, for telling us to do this." And then you wake up.
Yes,
but
exactly.
Talking of waking up, you kind of need a little bit of that energy from Rogue right now. As I said, Empire's biggest problem was on this site was the slow pace, and it was a little bit unfortunate because it's tougher to push down onto that site. There is more working against you actively in those firefights when you're trying to dig your way through. They had themselves spread out. There's, I think, 2 bodies dropping from hatches, and then the rest had found their way through on flat firefights. But by the time the hatch bodies had been dropped and lost, there was already enough momentum behind Rogue to carry them to the end of the round and carry them through it. Since then, Empire have taken 2, and they've taken them very well on the top, built around their guns. It hasn't been massively driven by their utility, I wouldn't say, because we've seen them struggle with it. We've still seen them get open what they need to for angles, but it's not as clean as it could be, and the Warriors, the more they do it, it's a well-oiled machine. The faster they will get, the tighter they will get, and the tougher it will be for Rogue to start pulling them apart again.
Important to mention, one of the EMPs and one of the Selmas have been used to open up the jacuzzi wall. Of course, that is going to give some information and some pressure from Empire to start moving through on that top floor. However, as I said, there is only limited heart breach potential available, and if you need to open up these hatches, having only 2 EMPs, 2 Selmas and 2 exothermics, that will literally cost you everything if you want to open up all 3. So Empire will have to make choices on which hatches they would like to open up and what kind of a take they want to make, because, well, surely Rogue is ready to strike back, especially if they're this heavy, this aggressive near the blue stairs. Able to peek out at any time, just crying lane prone there.
Yeah, they're trying to draw as much attention towards that Mozzie as they did, but Empire, they're a team that will redrone and redrone again, and hey, there's a Jaeger, and there goes a Jaeger. Not going to hang around too much, but as this hatch gets open, he's got to clear it and get himself back behind this big box in blue, and he just does that, but 40-second mark is about to pass. They're looking towards the kitchen hatch now. They're slightly altering their push. Instead of focusing their way around church, instead, they're going to go for that kitchen hatch. There's still a lot of work else to be done, and it's going to start to fall to the back line here of Rips. As long as he can stay in position, he can cause a lot of problems. That is a canister popped, and they still have 2 more, and that's going to force a bit of a rotate here from Empire. They know now where the smoke is. They know that it's being watched, and they know that they're still going to have to try and slip their way through. Joystick opens up, takes back Cryan, takes over control of Oil, and that allows them to dig their way through, but always gets further than I thought he could have. There's Shepard. He's just going to try and stick it on the far side. I don't think they're massively aware. Dan's doing all the covering he can, and he pulls off a plant right under the Rogue noses still. With a canister in pocket, and now with the pressure, he's going to make sure he has his movement covered, and you can see Empire have rotated their way back above, causing massive problems from this verticality, and they just shut it off.
Able to run in with 2 people there from the sledge that open up, and then plants right next to the pillar. Now, it is a dangerous spot. There's not much cover, but if they do not know you're going to be going for that plant, it is going to be very difficult for them to try and cancel it. There was just no information on it. They managed to get that plan down. And after that, as I said, you have the vertical to use to your advantage. And even then, they still had players down on the horizontal level as well, challenging, making sure that they were never even allowed to get close to that diffuser or even the staircase for that matter. And, well, whereas Empire struggled in round number 1 with opening up the required walls and hatches due to, of course, the bit of a limitation they had a clear plan now. They opened up everything, but rather than dropping through these hatches, they decided to just rush down the main stairs, open it up with a big sledgehammer, and start planting from there on.
And it's such a good adaptation. For what I said, their problem was that they were slow their first time round, and that was generally where it all boiled down to. They didn't leave themselves enough time. The solution to that and the pace that they brought, sure, as you said, a very risky plant spot. If that had got called, as I said, Leon still had a smoke canister in pocket. He could have long-armed it over to there. He could have forced them into a situation where they've either then got to pick up sticks and try and go deeper into the armory site, which is a position that's more likely to be swung on from AKs or from, obviously, Dirt itself, or they've got to pick up and try and push Church in the very dying throws, which, again, they hadn't done that prep work for. It's still a risk. There's no two ways about it, but that sort of lack of coordination currently coming through from Rogue when they are under siege and under fire, which is what we've seen across all of these takes so far, is they're just not quite in the positions to counter where Empire finally decide to play.
So, the moment that the sledge opened up the wall, he instantly got shot by the Maestro. He might have just instantly went in cover again, was like, alright, I took one out at the armory wall. And did not expect a second one to be in there, because no one was trying to even respond on the plant that was going down. And if he would have re-peeked, if he would have gone out a little bit further, there was no cover directly from the dirt tunnel. No one was covering that. He had an opportunity to get a clear-cut kill onto said player. He didn't go for the peek because he had no ID. He was trying to stay safe because, of course, you still have the evil eyes that will be coming into play. And probably the planter was in a blind spot for those as well. As soon as the planter started, it's difficult to figure out if it was actually going on if you do not have a visual clue. Either way, it is Empire currently leading, and as Leon Gids still putting down the evil eyes, it's looking like Empire is looking to open up the wall already. EMP out, there's the extra thermic as well, already being deployed, and, well, opening up that wall with that very early control, potentially from Empire, at least early pressure. 2 minutes left on that clock. They're now going to start by trying to get some extra pressure from Garage, but if you saw that, that's a double reinforcement. It looks like there is not going to be an active Garage player, and that might just give it away for free to Empire, and they could use a second exothermic on that place right there.
Yeah, they're trying to play deeper. They're trying to see if they can go on a little bit more of an explore and punish Empire later for the slow play that they want to do. Scyther, he's given himself just the angle to hold that round as they're still going for a rotate, but look at this. They are aware that Cryan was on a bit of a loose play, and look at this, the pickup comes through, but they trade it out. I think that works better for Joystick at this moment in time. I think being able to get rid of that threat, it's still just a 4 versus 4 on the site at this point. Sure, in a perfect world for Empire, they would have survived, but still getting rid of Cryan, still getting rid of that loose player allows Empire to have the confidence that, okay, that's a job done.
Definitely Cell Plant now looking to go down soon. Scyther is putting himself in a position, and now you've taken out the Roamer as well, who has the opportunity of going below and trying to use that vertical that's up there to stop any plant from happening. But keep this in mind, there is Evil Eyes, there is the Tachanka, the Shumika launcher that is currently deployed. You have Rip still with 3 smoke canisters. They need to start wasting this utility right now because the fire is about to come in, and it's going to push Scyther into a bit of a, well, annoying situation here. In the meantime, Shepard, however, will be planting on the corner. They will take care of the smoke, and there's nothing Rogue can do. They have absolutely no clue. It will go down. A team kill will be on the way, but still 45 seconds counting down.
Yeah, he would started to be burnt there. You could see Corey got to a new position to just try and put those fire canisters down, and it started to cook him, but now it's still a very tricky retake. The 3 versus 2, and it almost instantly goes to a 3 versus 1. It does, but it's not the body that's already massively injured that suffers it. This is maybe the 3rd 3 versus 1, and it goes exactly the same way of the others. Empire, they started a little bit slow, but this machine, well, it's running.
It is definitely running here, and we're entering round 6 now. And where I spoke before on the fact that the bottom floor sites should be theoretically a little bit more defense-sided, we are currently seeing Empire on 4 rounds. I think if we go back to the desk, they said their attacks are absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
With a 22% win rate. And then Jess said, but on Clubhouse, they're actually good. I think we can see that. That's just my professional opinion. That could differ from the rest, of course. But it's looking quite good. It's looking quite strong for Empire so far, and they're able to get these plants out. And it's a really good read because they realize, all right, Garage is not being contested. In my opinion, that is a mistake on Rogue's side, but I can see why they did not go for it. You know, they brought the Tachanka. They're trying to stop the default plant behind the server wreck from happening with that. You might be able to catch 1 or 2 off guard, swing it back in your favor. I thought it was just a very important site to make sure you keep control of, but Empire read it perfectly. And as Jess said, during SI, for example, they would just jump in the window from CCTV and go for a plan there, so you didn't need garage control. Now they were like, we get free garage control, but this is the reason why they want us to have control. Let's just go for a completely different plan. Let's just dig in right on the right-hand side, move 1 all the way up on the scaffolding in the back, so you can hold it from there, and nothing Rogue could do, especially not with your smoke taken out before the canisters could even be deployed. Now Empire. They have a 3-round lead, have the opportunity to build this out to 4, and with that, they could really put some extra points on the board right here to elevate themselves out of that dangerous position we have been alluding to over the past couple of weeks.
Empire going towards 5-1 on their half, and I mean, that puts them on club with 2 hard structures gone in a very good situation, sure, with Ace. It's not the biggest blow it used to be, but at the same time, it definitely complicates things when you are missing your Hibana and your Maverick. The limitations there, they become a lot more apparent when you find yourself actually trying to push with them, and these conversations are going to be tougher and tougher to have. Corey finds himself slightly off the piste there, holding himself on the split, holding himself on the other half of this top floor as Empire does their steady approach. Yet again, they're more than happy to take a little bit of time in terms of trying to root out the bodies. We've seen them go for these big clears, but we've seen them act on them much quicker than the dark days of Empire's previous split, where nothing was really connecting together. And to be fair, some of the moments where we've seen them on this split too.
Definitely so. In the meantime, Joystick trying to put some pressure from below, so they're going to try and cut off a rotation, get shot at from the blue side, from the blue stairs, and we'll be holding that off for now. In the meantime, the rest of Rogue's receiving a little bit of pressure, so they have to fall back, and they will be falling back down these stairs. Joystick, however, just going off the angle here could be quite dangerous. Grind gets the kill as he goes back on, and with that, the save rotation back to the site has opened up. And they will use that. They'll all go down. And with that, Empire is losing a potential of 2 or 3 kills. As if Joystick would have been able to catch off these 2 players, that would have been very huge for their round.
Yeah, and I think that's a big removal. Joystick was a player who had started to heat up. He was a player that was able to get these instant confrontations, and, you know, it's now he's off the board. They've been able to get the opener. They've been able to get the entry for the first time in a while, something Rogue have otherwise found has sort of eluded them always, though. before they go for the big push, is able to bring some balance back, takes care of the smoke. Leon hasn't quite really been able to get their teeth into this game yet, and that's a bit of a blow, because when you've got this big baddie utility, when you've got this sort of hefty role as that backline, sometimes it can be a bit of a big removal, unfortunately.
I believe they left a dirt soft on one of the sides. That could be something that Empire could use to their advantage. The side there still trying to run around. Only 14 seconds left. They need to go for a similar plant yet again. Aces gets a kill. Shepard goes for the exact same position to go for the plant. Rips now needs to move in. Is going to be able to get the kill because they have to spot this time around. Only 2 seconds left on the clock. Dan is going to be trying to reposition himself and will start the plant. However, there was no way he was going to win that. The timer hit 0. Everybody was going to be hunting him there, and it is going to be another round for Rogue. The second of their half. They might have wanted more than this, but this is what they have to make do with, and now they will go over to the attack themselves. The site I said would be quite annoying to deal with, considering the little amount of heart breach you have available to you. And this will force you as well to bring both of them every single round, especially if the bottom floor is still an opportunity to be played, because you just don't want to deal with just only 2 exothermics or 3 Selmas to have to work with. And as Empire will start out there in Church Arsenal, it is of course Rogue that will be picking everything necessary. But they do bring the floors rather than the Zofia. Let's see how that will make a difference for them.
Rogue, I know we've sort of thrown statistics around a little bit about Empire, as they said on the desk, was struggling statistically with their attacks across the general spectrum of Siege, but otherwise had been very good on Club. Rogue had also struggled with their defense on the general spectrum of things. I think they're running about 31 or 32% positive on their defensive rounds. It might be their chance now where they're able to build some momentum in. They were the ones that sort of said, well, this is what we're going to play without 2 hard destructors are gone. They flirted with the idea of danger. They probably hoped, and I think anybody would, for more success on their defenses in general, but maybe there's a little bit more hope for them here where they can kind of get to what is statistically their more comfortable side.
See very similar setups here on the side of Empire, opening up these rotations and gym bedroom and from cache towards the stairs. Logical, of course, because you want to have a little bit of top control. Our joystick here on the rafters could be coming in quite big if he manages to shut down these drones before they spot him. Gonna be watching. Oh no, they're not checking it! Joystick is allowed a free kill into Corey Daisha. Thatcher gone as well. And suddenly it is going to be... Oh, there is no actual Cade. Aces gets a refrag. However, it's going to be very helpful. However, you did lose your Thatcher, so the Mute Jammers are going to be even more annoying now.
Oh, that's a blow, though. You saw them pull out the drone. They cleared around the bottom. They didn't check rafters, but you generally know that there's a presence on the top floor. You generally know that there's going to be this presence up here. It's a rough loss, and I guess it's something that you hope shoots them a little bit more awake. They have the pings now. They're being much more cautious, but there's a body on red that I don't think they checked too. I say they're being more cautious, but then they were blinkered by the opportunity on a smoke that had no idea, or Mute even, that they had no idea that they'd been spotted.
Rogue, no idea there was some pressure onto those red stairs. Lost a second member as a result, and that is now your ace gone as well. Just the thermite left to try and open up something with, but first you need to recover that diffuser, which is currently being guarded by 2. Oh no, you're gonna bounce back the grenade on yourself, Crime. Manages to survive somehow, however, he has to find a different way in because he's not gonna try and attempt that again. The diffuser still dropped, of course, on, well, inside of CCTV now. Leon Gids, in the meantime, is going to try and make something happen on the side, just in case they are not aware of the fact that the diffuser is dropped. So he's throwing up some flashbangs. He's really trying to throw some attention to him, because he's already being watched here. Takes a lot of damage from the actual burst. Rips managed to bring it back. 2 kills for him. And suddenly Rogue is in the lead again.
Yeah, but Dan quickly makes a bit of work of that. Crying goes. Finally picked up after a little bit of a miss throw. Rips is on one side, and Leon, he's got to pick up that diffuser and try and get the separation on the other as Dan puts them into a tricky situation. Now Leon is going to instead try and find violence. Spotted by a default, steadily making their way across. He's massively injured. The surprise is gone. They're prepped with a C4 over the top here, but it's the canister that actually gets there first, and is able to pop it out. A slight misthrow there from Dan, but to be honest, 20 seconds, a canister you got to go through. And look at Leon's health. He cannot take this damage. He cannot tank this. He has no option but to wait or die by fire. So he's going to have to wait. And this is a round where I said Rogue can be better on their attack, but unfortunately, they're going to have to try and prove it on a different round. Steadily slipping around. 3 seconds left. Can't even find the first body. And it's another Empire round.
It's another Empire round indeed, and maybe a little bit too greedy on the Rogue side, especially the first kill. Not droning out the rafters enough. They did not expect a player to be there, but they didn't drone it at all, and just steps in, gets the kill, of course gets refragged. Great. But you're still losing your Thatcher. One that is very important, especially on the bottom floor take when you have limited utility available to you. And then they thought they could make it up by quickly going for that push over the mezzanines, hoping to find this smoke. As you said, that was just checking, well, nothing really, just looking at a box. However, due to the fact that no drone came out on the red stairs, well, it went through red stairs, just didn't check the stairs. And with that, didn't know there was actual cover that would be supporting a jump through on that window. Missed opportunity there. Twice too greedy from Rogue. And twice they got punished for it by kills from Empire. Now, of course, they managed to bring it back to equal numbers, and they could have turned it around, but the diffuser was nowhere near. There was no opportunity for them to go for an actual, well, execute or plan situation, so they always had to go for these kills. And the time that was left in the end, of course, these smoke canisters will be tossed out to slow you down even more. And not sure how I always found a drone there. I believe that was on a default cam, just spotted.
Yeah, he spotted it on the default cam so he could then swing around and shoot it. It was, I mean, clever. It gives him the ping, the big sort of indicator to say, hey, shoot under this, and you'd be able to take out one of the most valuable resources in this game that was just sort of left in a position where it could be, you know, when people are hunting for it and they've done all the rest of their prep work, why not? Rogue, you have unfortunately quite a lot of work to do. And we also talked about Bandit a little bit here, where he's got a very low pick rate at the minute. We've only seen him, I think, 3 times across EUL so far. And yeah, they have entirely stacked up here. We just heard a bit of a burst elsewhere. I'm wondering if that push came through from the other side. There's a cover, and just a pre-fire is able to take care of that. He's going to wait for the audio here, and this one gets past, and then it gets dropped by Shepard.
How many more did they have? One more. Where's the EMP? You have a Thatcher.
It was used down here. They used the...
Well, 2 EMPs, yeah, but you still have one more. So you can at least try and make something happen. There's still one Retiro left they could use. A lot of misused utility here from the side of Rogue. They're really trying to force through these Retiros, and Empire well aware. 2 players watching it, able to shut it down. There's an Electroclaw just simply on that wall, and they will now use an EMP to try and take care of that. I believe that is to take care of the ADS, not of the EMP. That might get a grenade through here, and it will get the kill to Shepard as well.
Well, there's the destruction. There's the grenade on the far side. They get the kill on the Bandit, and now they're able to pop this open. As you said, it was the cost on any ADSs for what was a pretty slow start in terms of utility and pretty poor play. It was picked back up by some creativity in terms of getting the drive across the core of the site. Now, though, you've spent a lot to have what you have. Can you make it worth the cost? Because you've still got this body up in rafters. You've still got 2 bodies around lounge that are happy to swing, and one of them just swung even wider and takes care of aces.
Young Gids now spots out the shoulder there, will be calling it out, but it's not going to have the opportunity to actually go for the shot. And as he's running over to the main door, they have it. Joystick is going to be allowed to pick up a second kill before he gets traded out by Cryan. A 3-on-3 situation, the wall has been opened up, but that's basically it. They don't have anything else on the side of Rogue. Just that wall. That's all they have. And the diffuser still needs to be picked up because it's on the other side of the garage door. So that is going to be costing another 10, 20 seconds. The wall is opened up as well. Feet are being spotted out. A bunch of damage is being done to Cryan. And as they're pushing into the garage, they will take control. Corey will take down that kill. And with 30 seconds left on the clock, Rogue going to be able to set up an attack here.
Well, a 3 versus 1, and the first time we've seen it into Rogue's favor, but Scyther is able to start this into their favor instead. Has the hot pings on the body that's outside that breach. Is going to play the smoke canisters with 15 seconds left towards the default plant spot. He's a man that can clutch this sort of position. He swings round, gets the first, looks for the second in the smoke. He's ringing around the rosies, pulls out the shotgun for the close engagement. There's consistent pings, but it's Corey that's able to drive it home.
So well played though by the smoke, just digging up close, and unfortunately for him, he's not able to win the round. But man, that really should have been an Empire one there. It's well clutched by Rogue, we have to say, because it took them a lot of utility to open up the wall. That really shouldn't have taken that long. They tried to use 3 Retiros. They even used a smoke grenade and some other drones to try and bait some extra shots out. And then they decided, you know, we do have an EMP, but of course that does not stop a bandit from actively tricking, so we have to get a grenade through. So they used the last EMP on the roof to disable the ADS, to get a grenade in from the sledge, which then took care of course, the electric claw. The gunfire took care of the bandit. With that, you suddenly have that issue solved. But then you used 3 Retiros, a smoke canister, a couple of drones, 2 of your EMPs, and a single grenade. That's 8 pieces of utility, if not more, on opening up that single wall, which normally, considering the fact that you are having a Thatcher available, should only take you 30 seconds.
Gym Bedroom. They're going to keep themselves rotating and keep themselves moving around Club Empire. They're still only 2 rounds away from being able to lock this out, but Rogue have been able to claw their second attack into their favor after the first started to fall. It still had some worrying undertones to the open. You can't deny that the way that opened was far from Plan A, and as things started to slip past Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C, it was Plan D where they're able to actually find the success over the top. But even then, it was this sort of build, and it was built behind at the end. Corey pulling out this clutch. And to be fair, early on in the game, I said those moments are what's going to build Empire some confidence and get them sort of some pace. And I guess, if you're looking into the eyes of Rogue, you want the same thing from them. You want them to be able to find some of this confidence behind those moments.
You definitely would like to see that. In some Rogue, however, oh, they're still reinforcing. Just open fire already. They're not going to be able to get the second wall for Gym Bedroom. That's a big oversight, I think. So they'll just have to close off the bathroom here. Empire, someone forgot to do his reinforcements, and that is going to be providing a bit of an angle and a free opening here for Rips that they can just get away with without any single, well, really piece of measure that would be there to try and stop it.
I'm a little bit curious about what happened there and why that wall was their last play and why they went for that at the very end. Potentially a bit of a miscommunication that led to who's doing what, but either way, Rogue, being in the right place, right time, is able to punish that. Almost punished it much worse with bullets sprayed through towards the body that was able to, I guess, at least get one of those walls, but it did not last very long. Empire, they're now playing this on a little bit of the back foot. They've suffered an opening blow, and it's going to be trying to dig in and hope the rest of the hold is solid enough for them to stop the onslaught that's got a bit of a freebie.
So now Rogue has gotten this freebie. They're really starting to dig down on this push. They really want to make sure they have that control. They miss, however, the opportunity to get the kill onto the Jaeger rotating up for the main stairs. However, as he rotates up, it opens up opportunity for the rest of Rogue to try and rotate up those stairs, put some extra pressure down from the hallway. As always, now rotating all the way to dirt to hopefully get a kill, get a pick on any of these Rogue members out there. So Dronal's coming in quite well. Surely Rips, he is in a lot of danger if they manage to spot him well. So far, not really, because he's just too far down.
Yeah, he was just out of sight, out of mind, and that puts him in a little bit of a tricky situation. He might be able to come up the back here of Corey, who's going to hold the angle. The grenades start to bounce around. The Aruni's going to give the call on where they are, and that means that there's now a timer on Corey's life, because as I said, there's always, and there's Cryan also holding the flank, to be fair, but the first 2 kills do not go their way. It gets pulled away from them, and they're able to keep that up.
Oh, no way. How do you get away with this? You forget to reinforce Jacuzzi wall, and you close it off with a flawless round. Who needs to reinforce? You know, Milos said yesterday, why don't we just leave the wall soft if they're going to open it up anyway? Maybe they're onto something. Maybe that is how you indeed play Club. He did actually say that. It was more of a joke, but...
Okay. Are we sure? He's just a desk host, as he says.
He is just a desk host, but he did get that point. Empire, match point. Not just 1, but they're on 3. And even though the defenses seem to be a little bit sloppy here and there by forgetting reinforcements, they're still able to bring it back. And that might be due to the... well, maybe more so sloppy attacks from Rogue. They really doubled down on just making use of the freebie they gotten. Like, they were like, all right, they'll give this to us for free. Let's just make sure we put every single piece of utility and all manpower on it. and make absolute top use of it. But as a result, they weren't able to make top use of it because they forgot all the other aspects that needed to be taken care of.
I think Empire, I mean, they're building themselves very well, they're stretching themselves very well, but I think most importantly, what they are doing is punishing Rogue's mistakes.
Yes.
Kind of unstoppably. They keep being in these positions where we'll see them actively trying to punish the mistakes. It's not that they're sort of sitting and waiting. You know, the best sort of sight on that is the round before when Garage was open and they had the two bodies in Lounge, and then they swung out from the bottom of Lounge and the bottom of Garage, the connector, and then they went and swung out from the main door or set themselves in the position to take the fight on the main door. And
not just that, but like the round before that, I believe it was as well, where we had Joystick just sitting on the rafters, not being droned out, able to get a free kill, and followed up by yet another free kill onto Rogue because they just forgot to drone. They were a little bit too greedy on trying to take control of CCTV in that case. And twice now it costed them members, and members are necessary to get these rounds on the board, and they need to be a little bit more disciplined, you can almost say, in the way that they attack. They see an opening, they want to go for it, and that is okay, but it's sometimes a bit too much.
Rogue, 3 rounds to try and claw your way back into a point here. Otherwise, you're, well, definitely ending the day on the bottom of the board. And it might have not been a guarantee before either way, but you could have really pushed yourself up, as obviously the team that's currently in 5th place would have been who you drew level with, Vitality. Yet they are obviously still to play. And I mean, at this point, it's definitely Empire's to lose, not only statistically, but just the control that they've been able to have over the space, the determination to make sure none of it falls into the favor. Just that as an example there as well. They put themselves in this position to strike back and compare it to how Empire cleared that before, where Cryan was lying down there. There was 2 drones that were used to pull Cryan out of position, and here we're seeing Rogue try and hit it with pace instead, and that puts a bit of a cost there. The C4 went for a chance, and again it's Dan peeking aggressively into the Rogue approach. Electrical
there picked up by D Selma, that has been tossed out a little bit sloppy from Empire's side on the defense there, but the hatch has been opened up in the end, and now Rogue have plenty of time to start opening up the verticals, the important verticals, to of course get some extra lines of sight in to make sure that these hallways are secure. But look at Shepard just hiding in there. So far no information on him. I'll be able to come in quite big if they indeed decide to go for a main stairs push. For now, at least, it seems pretty split. Rips on top of the blue hatch, looking to see if he can find one of the members of Empire, trying to rotate away. Was Corey as well, putting up some pressure on the right-hand side of the boiler. Rogue, 35 seconds left. They need to make a push, and Leon gets us about to move in. I'm wondering if he's still there. I think he dug in deep now, so he's no longer in that same corner.
Yeah, the creep comes around, they dig themselves all the way up, but Shepard just wins it out. Joystick gets the one of his own. It's Joystick for a double. There's a double back, but it's instantly stopped by Dan. It is everything Empire, and yet again, they close out that push, and yet again, they pull some points. It was a pretty great punishing day for them to put across.
It definitely was. Empire was able to spot the mistakes that Rogue was making, these sloppy mistakes, you could almost say, as in missing the drones or anything like that. And every single time, they were able to punish it to the good amount. And with that, they managed to pick up a very good result. 7-3. That's a full 3 points for Empire, who were at the start of stage, at the start of day 3, at the bottom of the board, and now they find themselves